Okay, this is the San Carlos Computer Club getting a really late start. Trying again, this time with audio. Hopefully it's working. Hopefully people can see it. As I was stating before, but you probably didn't hear it, I'm here with Linda, and the rest of the group has forgotten today was the first day of Computer Club, so it's just the two of us. And we have spent the morning. Oh, excellent. Thank you, baby. Now she can hear us. All right, so it's working. That's great. So I'm here with Linda, and we've been trying to sort out our internet problems here in the restaurant. And so we've been proposing the idea of getting our own range extender that we can bring in during club so that we get better reception in the other area. The truth is, though, if it's going to be this hot, we're okay, honey. I'm turning on. I'm going to silent mode now because you're beeping me. Truth is, if it's going to be this hot, maybe we can continue to meet in here, and then we don't have to extend the range of the Wi-Fi network. Linda, I think we're good to go as far as my stuff goes. What I'll do is I'll stick around afterwards and look up their equipment, because if their equipment will work, then the problem's over. Are you ready to go? You're still searching for Wi-Fi extenders.
No, I'm ready.
You're ready? Okay. Well, you had some questions that you wanted to talk about, or did we already cover them?
No.
No? What do you got in mind? It's just me and you having a tech conversation.
The thing I was interested in is why, and I can't find it. Okay, CCleaner got a Trojan.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a big deal.
I got a Trojan from them.
You think you got it from CCleaner?
Oh, definitely, but I use Malwarebytes.
Mm-hmm.
I have an account.
Mm-hmm.
It picked it up right away.
Okay.
Okay. So I took
But you're
it off
certain
of
you had that
everything.
version? Because you know that version was only a 32-bit version.
I updated it. I
The,
updated it,
yeah.
and it came right on.
The new version of CCleaner.
The new update.
The new update is clean.
Updated. Every time you do it, you know, they update. Okay.
So there's a very
I put in the new
specific version. There's a very specific version that had been compromised for a couple of months.
Right.
And then when they found out, they immediately put out updates that would fix that version.
Right.
And the only version that was compromised was the 32-bit version.
I got it from them.
Okay.
I got it from them. And I took it out of everything.
CCleaner.
Right. So now I'm just wondering if it's safe to put it back in.
I believe it is, because when they announced the breach, they were announcing it with the fix. When they came out to say this version has been compromised, we have the fixed version.
Well, I updated it.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I updated it, Malwarebytes came up and said I had a Trojan.
So maybe the day you updated it was that version that was compromised.
Yeah.
Maybe it was right before they were.
So do you think I should put it back in? Because I took it out of my phone, I took it out of the tablet, I took it out of the computer.
You know how I use CCleaner?
Is that you?
No, I think it's our neighbor over here beeping.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The way I've used CCleaner in the past is I don't worry about it until I need cleanup, if you follow what I mean. And so I'm very quick to remove it from a system and reinstall it. And so probably the best advice I would give is feel comfortable removing it, living without it, and then when you feel like you need to do some cleanup, I would trust it. Right now there's no reason not to trust it. It's the first time they've had this kind of experience.
Well, I didn't get it on my phone. I got it on my computer.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying.
That was the one that updated it. And as soon as I updated it, I got the Malwarebyte.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that it was the 32-bit version. In fact, if I dig through the documents, it's going to be like version 5.34, I think, that was compromised, if I'm remembering right. It seems like I put it in my Twitter feed. Because I definitely sent out a message about it going, this is bad. This affects a lot of people. This is software we rely on.
That's as bad as our Equifax.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
I know. And
We're going to have to talk about Equifax next.
But you know what?
Yeah.
You can't contact them from down here. I already tried.
Well.
They stop you. You know, like how you can get your report all the time? The free reports?
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, they won't let you get them.
From here, from Mexico.
Even with
a VPN?
VPN on.
Even with a VPN. So all of a sudden they become too sophisticated.
Right.
Well, you know what they were doing when the breach first happened?
Mm-hmm.
They had a website where you could go and put in personal information to find out if you had been breached.
I know.
Right?
Right.
And
that
was well, no, that was real, but it was with such shoddy security that it was like you were providing your information to hackers again. In fact, the rule of thumb from all the tech journalists I'm following is whatever you do after this breach, do not do it at Equifax. They've been bad stewards of this security. And what I was listening to this morning was saying that they're offering free credit freeze, and they're offering free credit freeze until January, and then they're going to have an offering to audit and track your credit use, so you can control when you get credit, when you don't. Like you can turn it on or off.
Right.
But that's going to be a paid service. So they're turning this breach.
You can't even get it on down here. So how are you going to do that?
Well, they're turning this breach into a business opportunity, right? I would have nothing to do with Equifax right now.
Well, you know what? The problem.
Oh, and I found it.
They want all three of them, you to pay for all three. That to me isn't right. Why don't they make one for everybody? One for everybody.
Well, it's ridiculous that like to freeze our credit, in most places you have to pay to have your credit freezed, right? So we're paying to protect ourselves from a service that we never wanted to be part of in the first place.
Right. Right.
It's nuts. And what they say is over 40% of America has been breached. And what I learned recently is, you know how, like one of the things the tech journalists are recommending is credit freeze. If you don't need credit, freeze your own credit. That way they can't get that information. The problem I found out now is that to unfreeze, the same information that has been breached can be used to unfreeze your credit. The other problem I found out is they have auditing. They have credit, like, what is the wording for it? They have fraud alert. That's what it is, fraud alert. It's like every 90 days you can sign up for fraud alert. When you sign up for it, from what I understand, they're supposed to tell the other credit agencies. And what that does is you assign a phone number or an email or a text number to your credit report so that when somebody asks for your credit before it's given out, you're informed that it's being asked for.
But you got to pay for that.
I think it's free, from what I heard. But you have to reinscribe for fraud alert like every 90 days. And the problem is that the data that was stolen from Equifax can be used to set their own fraud alerts and point them to their own phone numbers, right? So they can still ask for credit and the alert goes straight to them, doesn't go to us. Do you follow what I mean for authorization?
Right, but if you can't access them down here,
well,
there's no way, because I tried to access them down here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Social Security, you can't access Social Security down here. It won't let you in.
Right.
It knows you're in Mexico, so they think you're automatically a fraud.
That's interesting. I haven't tried to do that.
Right. You're not old enough.
Hey,
anyway,
going back to the CCleaner, it's version 5.34 32-bit version. That's the compromised one. And we are to believe that everything since that version is safe and clean.
Well,
and the phone wasn't compromised. It was the Windows version.
Right. So, okay.
So you should feel comfortable using it.
So I'll go home and try and put it back in and see what happens, and see if Malwarebytes picks it up.
Right.
Malwarebytes is the best.
Yeah, I agree.
Hands down.
So far, I mean, I hate to align myself with any particular scanner because every week one scanner could be better than another scanner, but hands down, Malwarebytes is a go-to all the time, yeah.
Right. You wouldn't believe how many people's computers I have put on and they've got something.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I tell them all of them every week. If you don't want to buy it, it's worth it to buy it though, because it does it every night at 3 o'clock in the morning. You don't have to worry about it. If you've got something that's going to come up.
What do you pay for it? I've never bothered to buy it.
Well, for the phone Malwarebytes, it was $12. For the computer, I got a deal one time, one of the holidays or something.
Okay.
I got a deal for a lifetime.
Like a Christmas
for like
special.
$39.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
So I have two. I bought two.
Okay.
So
Two
I
licenses.
have our two laptops on it. Haven't been using it very much on one because I do, Pirate Bay and all on that computer.
Yeah.
I use my husband's computer because it's older and if something happens to it, we don't care.
Okay, yeah.
So, but you always got to remember, then you got to turn off Malwarebytes while you're doing it because it right away picks them up
as a compromise or
compromise. So what I do is I turn it off while I'm doing it, and then I turn it back on and run it.
Okay.
As soon as
you're done.
Right.
What I'm sorry, I didn't catch. What is it you're running that's questionable?
Pirate Bay.
Oh, Pirate Bay. Did you see that thing with Pirate Bay, where they had been, and I think they still are now, running a JavaScript that is a program for the Bitcoin mining. Yeah, whenever you visited Pirate Bay, instead of ads, in the background, your browser is using your CPU to help them mine for Bitcoins. Oh. And I had to really wrap my head around that. I was like, I don't know if I really have a problem with that. Because, if there are no ads, and that's the way they've decided to monetize, I think that's kind of cool.
Well, the only thing is the ads come when you download the movie, and you got to go through all the garbage.
Well, they got caught doing this. See, what they didn't do is they didn't tell anybody. They didn't disclose and so what they were getting in trouble for was not telling people. And so they released a public statement saying, we're sorry, this is the way we went about it. What we're trying to do is create revenue without bothering our users with ads. And so we would like an opt-in model where people are okay with this idea. Since then, there was another site that was doing the same thing. And I can't remember what it was, but it's a mainstream site. It wasn't like a Pirate Bay or anything like it. It was like a Yahoo. It was like one of those kinds of sites following the same business model. Like, we're going to have a Bitcoin miner running in your browser instead of advertisements. They figured out how that whole supercomputer cluster idea where everybody is kind of sharing in the processing of these algorithms. It's just amazing we've reached this world now where they can do stuff like that.
Every time you want to record movies, etc., you got to go in and look because they keep shutting everybody down. And what's surprising to me is how Pirate Bay keeps coming back.
Yeah, right.
After they shut them down, they just open them up again on something, however they do it. It's like IPTV now. Everybody is pirated. IPTV.
Right, yeah.
But the IPTV now that we have is done really good.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to quickly find names and the website that they're using it on, but I don't have it in front of me. I should make a note of it and we can talk about it next week because I find it fascinating that, what an interesting way to monetize what you're doing. Like, if you've created content that people would go and see, instead of bothering them with advertising, all they're bothered with is their CPU fan rolling, right? All of a sudden, power cranks up, right? It feels like they're doing a lot of work, and what they're doing is they're mining Bitcoins for the owner of the website. That's how you're paying for it. Is you're saying borrow my computer to mine Bitcoins while I read your content.
I don't get how Bitcoin works. Maybe that would be a topic, because I know a lot of people don't know what it is, and I myself aren't. So that would be a good topic, Bitcoins.
Yeah, we've talked about it in the past, but it is convoluted. In fact, maybe what we should try and do is get my buddy Theo to talk to us, because he is the guy. He's all over the Bitcoin stuff, and I think he's actually recently been elected assemblyman in his district in New York, and what gave him such notoriety was his public appearance with Bitcoin and the legislation that New York's Attorney General was trying to put into place. He was out there as an advocate fighting against the kind of regulation that they wanted to put in place. And he got such notoriety that he ended up running for the assemblyman position. And I think he won. I need to spend more time on. No, he lives in New York. But I think you might have met him because he's come to visit and been at the computer club before.
Maybe.
Yeah, and he'd be a good one to talk to about Bitcoin. Maybe what I could do is I could bring in like a Bluetooth speaker and have him talk through it.
Well, maybe we could put it on the TV. You know, we got the TV.
Oh, you mean like a Skype? Yeah, that might work.
Yeah, why couldn't we? Yeah, I think we should do some stuff with the TV.
Well, I think a projector would be a great way to go. One of these little Pico projectors.
You mean on the wall, but we're going to put it on the wall.
We just have to find a wall we could put it on, but
That we could put a sheet on or something.
Yeah, and then we could do stuff like that easy enough.
Well, we could put, you know where that mirror is? See the mirror on the post?
Oh yeah.
We could hang something from up there, could we?
Probably. Yeah, it'll all just come down to light. Light, well, and the internet connection too, because we have to do it where we can.
Back there, we can always shut them.
Yeah.
Well, if we get a range extender, then we don't have to worry.
Yeah, actually, and if we had like a sheet to put over the curtains, we could broadcast it behind me.
Oh, we could do it on the curtains.
Yeah.
On one of the windows.
Right. Yeah, that might work.
We could do that. We could get a sheet.
Well, now they've got projectors that are just a hair bigger than a cell phone. I mean, they're like this thick.
Really?
Yeah, it's like $450 for a projector that you'd stick in your pocket. I mean, it's like 500 lumens. I mean, it's not the 1500 from the professional office projectors,
right.
But it's good for a 6-foot picture.
The best ones are the Epsons. They have the best.
And they're intense LEDs, so they're more durable than the traditional projectors that use those really hot bulbs, those incandescent bulbs.
And they're expensive.
The replacement bulbs, yeah, they're almost the same price as a projector.
Yeah.
Which is the way the world works these days. Well, that's cool. Okay, so website monetizing. That'd be a good topic for next time.
To do
Bitcoin in general, and this topic of how they're running miners right on websites.
I don't know anything about Bitcoin, but if we could do something, but we've got that TV right there, and it's really big. If we set our tables up over here. We can just do it right on the TV. All you need is a long HDMI cable.
Or maybe a Miracast device so that we could just wireless it over there. That would be a great way to do it. I mean, that totally works on my Samsung.
I know.
It's so beautiful. It's another display in Windows 10.
Yeah. Well, I got a new plug for my tablet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you plug it in, and then it's got for your AC adapter, and it's got for the HDMI. Because what was happening was you were trying to cast on there, like we're down in Wyabitos. I was trying to cast onto the TV.
From the tablet, yeah.
But it runs out of power because it sucks the...
Oh, because you're doing Wi-Fi and you're doing streaming.
Streaming.
And you're doing it all, yeah.
Right, so I just bought this new Well, my new tablet
Okay.
has a new USB 3. That would be the other thing to talk about.
Yeah, USB 3
Right.
or the C. The USB
The
C is the big one.
C.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what my new Samsung tablet has.
All
So
right.
that's what I got, the new adapter for it. So it plugs in and it's got an AC port and an HDMI on it.
Right.
And so I can just plug it in because I bought, and it was only 20-something bucks. I bought the Samsung one for my other one, and it was expensive.
You mean the Samsung power supply?
No,
No, the
Samsung
adapter.
An adapter to put your TV.
Ah,
Plug
okay.
into the TV.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it doesn't really work, and you have to plug in. We just bought a new Samsung TV for the bedroom, 50-inch,
Okay.
and I got
Oh,
a new, instead of the Mag 254, I bought that new DreamLink T1 Plus.
I haven't seen that.
Okay, it's a new box, DreamLink T1
This is
Plus.
IPTV.
IPTV.
Okay.
T1 Plus. It's got. See my mind? Anyway, the picture is so beautiful. I
Okay.
had somebody come over to the house. We had on Netflix. You just wouldn't believe the picture.
It's like 4K Netflix.
4K, that's
Yeah.
what I meant to say.
Okay, all right.
4K Netflix. The picture, but out of this new box, is unbelievable.
Now,
It's a 4K box.
Linda, when you're using this, you find yourself using it more like for a Netflix experience, or
No.
use it more for live
Sports.
TV, sports, live TV.
Live TV. Yeah.
You know, that's what I need to sort out with Cody. Do you remember that box I bought last season? I brought it on just as a visual.
Yeah.
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 This.
So you're doing Cody on it.
Okay, so I spent the summer playing with Cody. This
You
supports
could put
4K.
IPTV on there too.
This supports 4K.
Okay.
It's got HDMI out. It's got its own Ethernet port if you want to use that.
Right.
As well as it's got analog out. And what I found with my box is I can run both HDMI and analog at the same time.
Oh, you can run it. Well, mine has that too. You can run them at the same time.
On this particular box, I can. No, I had it right the first time. Yeah, on this particular box, you can get audio video out of the HDMI and analog at the same time. So I was able to run digital to the TV and analog to an external speaker.
Okay.
Whereas the Roku's, since Roku 2, you can't do that. It's one or the other. So that's a pretty cool option. This cost me last year like $70, right around $70. But what I did was I got to really know Cody. And I have got a great configuration for Cody, using a service to track the shows you're watching, using two particular plugins that have to be included, but then whatever other plugins you want to add to it. And it allows you to keep track of all the shows and movies that you've been watching or are watching. And when you go to another Kodi installation, you set it up the same way, and it downloads all that information into that Kodi. So you don't have a different library of content on the Kodi in the bedroom versus the Kodi in the living room. You watch a show on the Kodi in the bedroom, and then tomorrow you go to the living room, and it shows that show was watched, like a pure Netflix kind of experience.
Okay, do you have IPTV on there?
I do not.
A pay IPTV on there?
No.
Okay, so you're not doing that.
I'm not, and that's what I'm saying.
Put a pay IPTV on there.
I suspect I can. I suspect there's a Kodi add-on, or there's an actual app that I could install in this.
There's an app on this DreamLink. You have to put this DOL2 in it.
DOL2. That's new to me. I haven't heard of that.
DOL2. Well, if you go on IPTV Zeta.
Okay.
Okay, and you look up the DreamLink.
DOL2.
DOL2. That's what.
Yeah. It looks like there's some kind of app.
Yeah, it's an app.
DreamLink Online.
Right.
APK download. IPTV.
So we put in the adult.
IPTV Cody Stalker. Okay, cool, cool. Something to, let me add that too. DOL2 IPTV Cody. I'm just making a note of things to look up because I think that's the only thing that's missing now
Is live TV.
is live TV.
Okay.
With my Cody installation, this style box, I was able to go to La Quinta Hotel. This has a browser in it. So I was able to authorize this on their Wi-Fi and immediately had my Netflix kind of experience, keeping track of everything that I've ever been watching, the same library as anywhere else I might open up Kodi, right there in the hotel room, watch my shows, have it tick off each one that's already been watched. So it's in the cloud. That list is in the cloud. But now I can wipe this out, install 3 plugins, and sign up for the service, and I'm back exactly where I was. Again, I can install Kodi on another computer that never had it, set up the plugins, put in my account. It's exactly. It follows me around now.
Okay.
I think it's the ideal situation for Kodi.
Well, this new box that I just got, you know, the Samsung TV does not have a good
IPTV. It doesn't. It said
not-
SSTV,
it
right?
says you're supposed to be able to hook it up, but I tried. Okay, no, it does not have a good. They use their own
It's a.
Tizen.
Oh, is it?
For their
Oh, that.
internet,
Yeah, right.
and it's
Tizen
no
is their
good.
operating
So
system.
on
Yeah.
my new box, you can get right on Google,
Right on Google.
and it's great. So I'll be able to use it.
In a hotel room.
Right. But
Yeah.
somebody just told me on the IPTV yesterday, because I put in a post, because I have a problem down there in Guayabitos.
Mm-hmm.
They have a password
On the Wi-Fi.
on the Wi-Fi. So
Right.
when you go to plug your thing in,
Because of your
the
IP.
password comes up on the TV, and there's no way
To put in the password.
to put in the password.
That's why
So what do you do?
I thought of you specifically in my hotel experience because this is Android TV, because it's like a tablet in a box.
Right.
Then there's a browser available. I could install a Chrome browser here if I wanted to.
Okay, well, mine has the Chrome browser in it.
How come you can't put the?
Well, I haven't tried the new one.
Yeah.
The Mag 254.
If it's got a browser, you should be able to authorize it. Because what happens is you go to the browser and it goes, you're at such and such a place. Do you want to authorize this for Wi-Fi access? You know, the promotional page that it, before you authorize it, you always go to that page, like when Quinta Hotel, you have to authorize it.
But when I plug my box in, is it going to come up? Because that's when it does it, when I plug my box in. Well, this guy told me he was running the box. He ran the box through his laptop, and I thought, well, how are you
That would
gonna,
work, yeah.
But how are you going to run the box through the laptop?
Well, you use
Because their HDMI is out only. It's not.
no. You run it off the laptop with an Ethernet cable. What you do is you use the laptop to share internet. So you
Okay,
get
so
you
I
get
plug
internet
the
Wi-Fi.
box in with the.
No, you use the laptop to access the Wi-Fi.
Right.
And then you also use the laptop to share internet through the Ethernet. And then you plug an Ethernet cable into your box from your laptop.
Plug Ethernet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Ethernet from box.
that's right. And so the box gets its internet from the laptop sharing it. And since I think Windows Vista, it's been very easy to do.
Okay. So use the Ethernet from the box, not the HDMI.
That's right.
Because I was going to try to put the box onto the screen on the computer and use it.
No.
So you can't. So
So the
I'm
box
doing it
uses
wrong.
the box uses the HDMI to the TV set because HDMI is out only.
Okay.
And so you plug the box to the TV like you normally would. But instead of using Wi-Fi on the box, you use an Ethernet cable to your laptop and use the laptop to share internet.
Because the laptop is where you get you can put in the password.
Right.
So when I cast the laptop onto the
We-
TV
No,
to
we,
watch
when you,
Netflix.
when you finally get the laptop connected to Wi-Fi,
Okay.
then you're able to share that connection to your other device. Like you could even just stick the laptop in there. You could have a router and you could plug that into the laptop. The laptop's feeding the router and then all your devices are cabled to the router.
I tried that.
Yeah, well, you need to share internet through the Ethernet on your laptop. I'm not using the right language. Let me use the language of Windows 10. Give me a second to look it up. Because it should not
I don't know
be
what to do, and I can't get it. And last year, a bunch of people that were in motorhomes
sharing
were complaining.
options for the networks you connect to decide whether you want to share. Oh no, these are for sharing. Sorry, I'm an idiot. That's for sharing files. What we want to do is share connections. You can tell I haven't done this in a while.
Share connections.
Yeah, you want to share. Show that. Let's see. Manage known networks. Piano bar properties. Discoverable. Meter random hardware addresses. Oh, we're probably just a Google search away. Obviously, I've not done this in a while. They must have a new way to do it too, because I don't see anything I'm used to seeing.
Share
Sign in.
connections over Ethernet?
That's what you want.
Here it is. Let's see what this says.
Read me off the instructions, and I will double check.
It says, be sure your Windows 7 computer is already connected to the internet via wireless before you start.
Yep.
Click the Windows icon and type View Network Connections, and then hit Enter.
That's Windows 7 installation?
Go to the Sharing tab and check the top box. This says Windows 7.
Okay. Well, actually, that might still be relevant. Give me a second, and I'll see if that's the case. Network and Sharing Center.
How about share internet connection over LAN?
That's what you're doing.
Okay, so let's see this one.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like those Windows 7 instructions are relevant for Windows 10.
Look what this says. Make sure that patch or crossover is written on the cord.
It shouldn't be
necessary. Go to Network and Sharing Center through the control panel, Network Connection, and right-click the local area, and then click the Properties. So you'd have to have that kind of cord with you?
No.
Patch or crossover?
Older equipment, you would need that kind of cord, but
Those are all for Windows 7.
Most of the new equipment can modify itself immediately. It can be its own crossover, and so typically you don't need a crossover cable.
This is still Windows 7.
Windows
How to
10
connect to other
sharing internet Ethernet. Let me do a Google search here. See how to share wireless over Ethernet. Oh, there's a YouTube video. Sharing your computer's internet. Windows 10 tips. Right-click or long press the network icon in the notification area to open a shortcut menu.
How to turn your Windows 10 PC into a wireless hotspot?
That's different. What that would be is if you're getting an Ethernet cable and you're sharing your Wi-Fi, you want the reverse. Where your internet comes from a cable and you want to share it.
It's wireless in the hotel to your laptop. That's why
right,
I was
but
going
what those instructions are the reverse of what you want to do. It's how to turn into a wireless hotspot. So what that would be is you're plugging a cable into your laptop for internet, and you're providing internet wirelessly. Now what you want is the reverse. You want wireless to provide the internet, and you're providing internet through a cable. It's just the opposite of that. And I'm realizing that these settings aren't coming up for me because I don't have an Ethernet port plugged in. Let me plug in an Ethernet port because of this.
Okay, so
I've got this device.
Windows 10 includes a feature called Hosted Network.
This device right here in my Ultrabook is going to allow me to add an Ethernet cable, and when I do that, I should be able to see the options for sharing this connection.
Oh. Okay, so this says Windows 10 includes a feature called Hosted Network that allows you to turn your computer into a wireless hotspot. And this guide will show you how to do it.
Right, but that's the opposite of what you want.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying, is that's the opposite of what you want. What you want to do is you want to share your Ethernet connection,
okay, you want to share
your Ethernet connection.
connection, okay,
Okay, now I've got an Ethernet connection. I've gone into...
from your laptop.
From your laptop.
Okay,
There it is. There's the sharing options. I'm just using a webcam to show this instead of a screen capture because I'm not very sophisticated. But when I connected this up, because I don't have an Ethernet in my laptop, I just added it through USB, then it gave me an Ethernet port in network connections. I was able to get to it from the network and file sharing window. So you know the network and file sharing center?
You don't have an Ethernet port in there?
Right here.
No, but you don't have one in there?
No, it's an Ultrabook. It doesn't have one.
Oh, okay.
If you go into change adapter settings,
Change adapter settings.
yep, and then there you'll see your Ethernet connection listed. How are we looking on camera with this bizarre?
Change adapter settings.
Oh,
and
there
then,
we go. I
and
could do
then
this.
What? Change adapter settings.
Change adapter settings, and then it lists all your adapters, your Wi-Fi, your Bluetooth, your VPNs if you have any.
Yeah.
But one of them is Ethernet, and if you go into the properties of the Ethernet, you'll find those instructions you were reading for Windows 7. You'll find a sharing tab, and you can click a checkbox, allow other network users to connect through this computer's internet connection. You check
How
that.
do I bring my laptop?
Here, can you look around here? Because you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you see it. Let's start
Oh,
from...
okay, so go to your Ethernet connection.
So here I am, Windows 10. I am right-clicking my wireless connections. I'm opening Network and Sharing Center.
Okay.
Or I thought I was. There we go. You've seen this before, right?
Right.
Okay. Over here in the column, change adapter settings.
Okay.
Here are all your adapters. You've seen
Right.
this before.
Right.
In here, go to properties of your Ethernet connector. Here's properties, and there's the sharing tab.
Right.
And if you put a check mark there and hit OK, then internet will come out here.
So should I buy one of those?
Well, do you have an Ethernet port on your laptop?
Yeah.
Well, then you don't need one of those.
Oh, okay.
I only need one because my laptop's an Ultrabook. It doesn't have one built in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the reason I was having trouble finding the settings in the first
All
place.
right, I'm going to bring my laptop.
Okay.
It would be easier, and see if we can set it up
Yeah.
to share my IPTV.
So yeah, then what you would do is you'd run a cable from your Ethernet to the Ethernet on your IPTV,
Right.
and everything would be running through your laptop.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
Because we have such a hard time. So what I also just did, well then.
But here's the other thing, because
I might need to buy one of those. I'll tell you why. Because I actually, no, I've got that other thing. I actually need a booster in the room, and I have one of those little boosters with the two antennas.
Okay.
It's got a double USB, so I bought an extender USB and have them both plugged in. You know, it's one of those little Alpha or whatever it's called.
Like,
the little range extender.
Like the Hawkins?
Yeah, it's just a little range extender.
You're throwing me off with the USB. I'm not sure what the point of the USB is.
It's got two USBs coming out that you have to plug in to power it.
So that's the Wi-Fi adapter. When you connect it as USB to your computer, that's the Wi-Fi adapter you're using.
I want to, because it's a weak signal in the room.
Here's another thing you could do then, is you could share your Wi-Fi connector. You could have an external Wi-Fi connector like you're describing, where it's got a USB cable, and that's where your Wi-Fi is coming in through that. And then you could use the Wi-Fi on the lip of your laptop and share that.
I'll bring the computer.
Yeah, well, that's slightly more complicated, but it should be doable. the Ethernet sharing works.
Because if I could figure this out, then I could show some other people in the park, in their motorhomes, because everyone last year couldn't get TV.
Okay.
See, they all bring, what's the Canadian, what's the Canadian TV that everybody brings down? Does it start with an S?
I don't remember. I know what you're talking about, but I can't
Okay.
remember what it is.
But they
yeah.
were all having problem in their motorhomes because you get his password up, comes up on the thing, and there's no way to put the password in.
Through the IPTV box.
No,
Yeah.
even the cable boxes.
Right.
You know, they all bring, what's the name of that Canadian?
Dish?
No, the Canadian one everybody uses.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, they all had the same problem when they plugged in the TV to bring up that
It
cable.
needs to get connected to the Wi-Fi.
They get their password thing they want, and there's no way to put a password in.
Right. Well, and actually that's one of the advantages of this, is
so
it's got a browser built into it.
Well, see, my new one, the new one has a browser.
So if it has a browser, you can probably authorize your box. You don't have to deal with any of this stuff.
But if I go through the laptop, it'll already be.
Well, yeah, but then you have to keep the laptop running.
But I do. I have the laptop I just been using for Netflix there.
Okay.
You know, and I have the laptop hooked in the TV to watch Netflix.
Right.
But the signal's been so bad, so I thought, well, if I brought that little range extender signaler and put it there, I could pick up the signal better.
Maybe.
I'll bring it.
Yeah.
Or should I bring my regular range extender?
Well,
Or do I need to buy something else?
I'm not sure if you need the range extender to begin with, regardless of what you're doing with the TV. Because if you're having lousy internet where you're located, then you may need the range extender. You may need the range extender in the...
Yeah, because the Netflix isn't strong enough. I mean, it's not, the internet's not strong enough with the Netflix. And it freezes all the time.
I've probably told you about this before because we've done this at Pine Top, but I bring a range extender.
Right.
And I connect a router to the range extender. So I have two boxes. I have one box to range.
A regular router or a...
Just a regular router.
A range extender
just the standard router you'd have in your house.
Okay, regular router.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I've got a range extender that picks up the Wi-Fi signal in the window, because in the back of the unit you get lousy Wi-Fi, but in the front you get pretty good Wi-Fi. So I've got the range extender in the window.
Okay.
And then I've got a cable between the range extender and the regular router. And then the regular router provides me with my Wi-Fi pocket while I'm there.
To hook up to their Wi-Fi?
Yeah. And so what happens is, at the end of the range extender, I have to authorize, this is where it gets complicated, because I have to have a computer connected to my router trying to get to the internet, where it presents me with the page going, you're at such and such a place, would you like to use internet, you have to press OK. All that comes through the computer. When I do that, then it has authorized anything connected through my router. So then I have a Wi-Fi pocket, my own name of Wi-Fi, my own password of Wi-Fi, my own encryption of Wi-Fi, and it's all going through that range extender that was authorized.
Seems that the range extender now, I just downloaded Windows 10 into that range extender.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I plugged in the range extender, and then it said Windows 10, where it used to be on Windows 7. And so I downloaded the Windows 10, and it like automatically picked up at home, it picked up my Wi-Fi, and I didn't have to do anything. Where before on Windows 7, you had to configure it yourself.
The range extender.
You had to configure it and put in your email and put in everything.
Are you running an app that comes with the range extender? Is that what's going on?
I went into the range extender to see if I had to. I've used the range extender at a couple people's houses here. Like they didn't have good enough internet, so we plugged it into their laptop and we set it up at their place, and it worked. So now I plugged it in and it said Windows 10. So I clicked on the Windows 10. It hooked up automatically and was picking up my.
That's bizarre. I don't know what would be saying Windows 10. I guess I'd have to look at the range extender and see what it's referring to. Because it seems like the range extender shouldn't have any association with an operating system.
Well, shouldn't it just pick you up right away? Sorry.
No, no worries.
Sorry.
And this is what happens when there's the only two of us for Computer Club. All right, so what am I going to do while we wait for Linda to come back? We have been talking about range extenders, connections, authorization through access points, public access points, and how to use those connections with our own devices. And what we typically are concerned with are things like IPTV or Netflix access using these boxes. And typically we're concerned in areas like a hotel, like my example of La Quinta, that we've got Wi-Fi and I want to hook up my Android TV. But when you use Wi-Fi in a location like that, typically the first web page you go to asks you to authorize the equipment you're using. So it works fine for a laptop or it works fine for a mobile phone, because the first thing you do is you go to a web page and it says, hey, authorize this, and you authorize it, and then your device is online. You run into this in airports as well, cafe internets, things like that. But it's a bit cumbersome when you want to use a box like a Roku box. You want to hook it up to a motel TV set and watch your shows. How do you get it authorized? And the example I was using with my Android TV box, which makes it so convenient, is that it's got a browser located in the device. So I'm able to go to a browser and authorize it, and now it's on that Wi-Fi, that Wi-Fi network. You know what? I got the chat room open, but nobody's in it. I'd be happy to answer any questions from anybody that might have some questions. Seems to me there's supposed to be like a YouTube chat room here too. Maybe I should take a look at that. Live chat. Chat is disconnected. Try to reconnect you. Say something. Hello. Is there anybody out there? Yeah? No? Ni modo? Doesn't matter. Now I'm just playing with settings, waiting for Linda to come back. I did want to talk about some other stuff that I thought was interesting. Maybe Linda would find it interesting. I did come with two topics. One of my topics was the current Linux market share, which is growing, which is surprising. I heard this on Daily Tech News this morning, that the Linux market share has risen from 2.5 to 5%, which is high for an alternate operating system. Forever Microsoft has dominated the space with over 90% market share from 2.5. Macintosh has grown to a 6% share, alternate operating system. But what's interesting is now the analytics they have show that the Linux market share has doubled. Theoretically, this is not forever installing a Linux desktop and running that on their main computer, but they're actually Microsoft. This number is probably associated with Chromebooks and the rise of Chromebooks. The space with over 90% market share, popularity they're starting to especially in schools. Chromebooks. Macintosh has grown to a 6% when it comes share alternate economics. But what's interesting is now the analytics they have show resources. The Linux market share has doubled. For the
for the
theoretically,
education
this is
market,
not
forever installing the Linux desktop and running that on their main
computer, but they're actually
so these Chromebooks
my
are
probably
able
this
to
number is
dominate
probably
most
associated
of
like 90% of the things that
rise
people
of
are using
Chromebooks
with
for
over
these
90%
days,
market
and
popularity.
they're
They're
starting
starting
to
Google
Five,
Five,
but they're also Chromebooks
Macintosh
that
has
grown
sit
to
on the
its
coaster without internet
share
economic. What's interesting is now the analytics they ever resources,
do spreadsheets or documents, you can even work on your email offline.
which
For the
theoretically this
education
is
market,
not
Chromebooks
forever.
is the only way that they make sense is when you're connected all the time.
Computer, but they're actually
So these Chromebooks
my
are
probably
able to
this number is
dominate
probably
offline
like 90% of the things that people are using with over 90% market popularity. They're starting Google Five,
but they're also Chromebooks
Macintosh has sit on the coaster without internet economic. What's interesting is now the analytics they ever resources
do spreadsheets or documents, you can even work on your email offline.
which theoretically this is not forever.
Is the only way that they make sense.
You're looking at last connected all the computer, but they're actually
these Chromebooks
my
are
probably
able
this
to
number is
dominate
probably
most
like 90% of the things that people are using with over 90% market popularity. They're starting Google Five,
but they're also
Macintosh sit on the coaster without internet economic. What's interesting is now the analytics they ever resources
do spreadsheets or documents,
tablets
you
we
can
work
work
on
on your email
which theoretically this is not forever.
Is the only way that they make sense.
You're looking at last connected all the computer, but they're actually
these Chromebooks
my
are
probably
able
this
to
number is
dominate
probably
most
like 90% of the things that people are using with over 90% market popularity. They're starting Google Five, Macintosh sit on the coaster without internet
very sophisticated
economic. What's
for a higher price than the
analytics they ever resources
these spreadsheets or documents.
Which theoretically this is not forever.
Is the only way that they make sense.
You're looking at last connected every operating system. But they're actually
these Chromebooks
my
are
probably
able
this
to
number is
dominate
probably
most
90% of the things that people are using with over 90% market popularity. They're starting Google Five, Macintosh sit on the coaster without internet
very sophisticated.
What's
They're going to be a
higher
higher
price
price
than the ever resources.
these spreadsheets or documents.
Which theoretically this is not forever.
Linda, coming back to the
You're looking at last connected every
Everything good?
They're actually
I think we're almost done now.
Probably
We're done. 10, 20, we should call it. We're a little over. I am in equipment. Yeah,
on the coaster without internet.
very sophisticated.
What's
They're going to be a higher price than these spreadsheets or
which theoretically this is not.
I don't believe that's actually coming back to the now. That's actually everything good? I think we're almost done now. We're done. 10, 20, we should call it. We're a little over. I am in equipment. Yeah, on the coaster without internet. Very sophisticated. They're going to be a higher price than
Theoretically, this is not.
I don't believe that's actually coming back to the now. That's actually everything good? So I think we're almost done now. We're done. 10, 20, we should call it. We're a little over. I am in equipment. Yeah, on the coaster without internet. Very sophisticated. They're going to be a higher price
Theoretically, this is not.
I don't believe that's actually coming back to the now. That's actually everything good? So we're on good now. We're done. 10, 20, we should call it. We're a little over. I am in equipment. Yeah, on the coaster without internet. Very sophisticated. They're going to be a higher price